Yeah, what's your question?
It's asking me for a school URL. What do I put there?
If you want to put your school's website, you can. If not, you can put like my school's website. I'm fine with that. It's just, I believe it's exeter.edu. You can put that if you'd like. Uh, really anything. Also, I guess this is a good time to ask if anyone has experience with CAD. If you do, you can write that in the chat or just let me know. That would be good to know. Yeah. Okay, cool. So Cruz, you said you have done like stuff with CAD. Very cool. Have you used Onshape before, or what have you used in the past?
Um, I've used the 3D modeling software, but uh, I had it on my iPad, but we got rid of my iPad, so I don't have it anymore.
Hmm. Tinkercad. Yeah, that's a great place to start. Also, like any 3D modeling software, kind of gets you thinking about like how can you make something 3D, but starting with like a 2D idea. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad you guys have some exposure to that because that'll make this class a lot funner and easier to get into.
And with CAD, you also need to think of the mechanism so that you can actually make it all fit.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point.
And to see how much strain the motors or whatever having it, controlling it is
Yes.
putting.
So there are some CAD softwares that actually help like look into strain and like how durable your pieces are with like analysis. Onshape doesn't actually have that, but yeah, it's great to think about that. Okay, I think we'll wait maybe about 5 to 10 more minutes. How's everyone else doing? If you have questions, be sure to put them in the chat. And once you're done, also let me know. Yeah. All right, so to change your units, if it didn't give you that option, you can press your profile, and then I believe under preferences here. So like where in this example where it says Teddy Dunker, you should be able to press under that, like the drop down, and there should be an option that says preferences. I can just make sure I'm telling you the right thing by opening Onshape. Whoops. My account and then preferences, and then it has units right there. All right, so I think we're good to move on for now. If you haven't been able to like finish making your account exactly, you can just follow along for this part. But we're just gonna look quickly at like what Onshape looks like. So this is a picture, but I think it would be more helpful to just open like my account. So right here, oh, you need to go to the bathroom. You can go ahead. Yeah. If you have questions after, we might go over that again, but that's fine. Right, so you can see all of your files, and then if there are projects shared with you, they'll also be here. There are like folders because you can like have organization and such. This is like a robotics, so this is like our robot from last season. And you can make things like where it says create, you can make a document, a folder. You can also import files and import from different things, add labels. So for today, you just want to start by making a new Onshape document, and you can name it whatever you'd like. So I'll just name it Untitled. And this is what it'll look like. So if you've seen like some CAD like software like Tinkercad, you'll probably be familiar with the idea of having like 3 axes. So like X, Y, and Z. It's pretty much the same here. And you can use this cube to help orient yourself around. So you can press it and like drag it to like move. If you're using a mouse, it would be easier. So I recommend using a mouse for like CADing, but you can also use like a keypad if that's what you have. And so for a mouse, if you press like the right button on this cube, you can kind of move it around and it'll move the environment around too. If you press one of the faces, it'll go here. Oh yes, Cruz, just to catch you up. So we went into our Onshape account and the first thing we did is create an Onshape document. So right here, you just press Onshape document, it'll open a new document and you'll be able to go in. And then looking at orienting yourself in the environment, you can right click with a mouse and just drag around. You can also use this cube to make it easier to orient yourself and everything. If you're also using mouse and you press the middle button on your mouse, you can drag around. That's pretty useful. And if you use the left button, you can sort of select things. So one of the big ideas that we've kind of mentioned with CAD is thinking in like CAD, I guess, because the idea is taking something that is 3D and really being able to model it. And you kind of have to start with something that is 2D. So how would you make a simple cup in real life? Would you like take a piece of wood and hollow it out? Cruz, you had raised your hand if you'd like to add. Go ahead.
Well, first you have to figure out how deep you need to dig the hole, because if you dig it too far, you can go out the bottom. And if you dig it too short, they'll barely hold any liquid.
Yeah, right. That's an excellent point. So knowing how big you want things to be and pretty much all of the dimensions is also important to consider. So when we're CADing in Onshape, or CADing isn't actually the word, CAD is like the verb for CAD. That's kind of interesting, but yeah. Okay, so in CAD, you have to start in the 2D and then you extrude it to the 3D. So that's kind of what we'll be looking at today. And we'll start with that example. So I'm opening this file and probably starting with the idea of extruding something. So one of the simplest things you can make in CAD is a box. And to do this, I would go into this. Oh, I forgot to introduce these. That's my bad. So in the bottom tab of your Onshape file, you have like a plus sign. You can use that to make new part studios, new assemblies. For the purposes of this workshop today, we'll just be using the part studios. So you can make several and kind of help organize everything. So I'll start by like deleting this because we won't really be looking into that. And also the sketch. The first thing you want to do is make a sketch, so you can press this button. And if you're in Onshape and you have it open and everything and set up, feel free to follow along right now, because the best way to learn is probably to do it. Also, let me know if I'm going too fast at any time. So once you open a sketch, it asks you to select a plane. The top one is probably a good place to start for this. If you want to orient yourself to make it easier to see the plane you're in, you can press the cube, or you can use the keyboard shortcut N. So when I press N on my keyboard, it makes the viewing normal to the plane you're drawing in. And then you can zoom in by scrolling on like a wheel on a mouse and zoom out the same way. And again, you can drag by clicking that wheel. So to make a cube, I guess, I have to start with the 2D version of a cube, which is just a square. So on this like toolbar, you have all the things you can do. So I have a line tool, a rectangle, circles, arcs, polygons, splines, or like curves. You can also use text, all sorts of things. So I'll just start with a corner rectangle. There are also different rectangles you can do. So a center point rectangle would make the rectangle this, and then the corner point rectangle makes in the corner. I'll just use this one since I opened it. So as you can see, like Cruz mentioned, keeping in mind the dimensions of what you'd like, you're able to set those easily. So I'll do a 30 by 30. And as soon as you put in the dimensions, it turns like the lines turn black and it's kind of filled in. So when it's filled in, that means that you have a face that is like complete. And that means that there are like no open like sides. And then also it means the sketch is defined when the lines turn black. So to have a defined sketch, which is something we'll go into more tomorrow, it means that it's defined from the origin and has its like units and everything in place. All right, so now it's kind of fun to make it 3D. When you're done sketching, you can press the check mark and then use the extrude tool. Yeah. And you can set the depth you like it to be. Since I want mine to be a cube, I would set 30. And that's it. Simple cube. Yeah, you have a question?
So how would I set the parameters again?
Right, so if you open your sketch and like you started drawing, I will delete this. Oops. Say like you just started. Sometimes when you like just click to finish drawing like the shape, it'll kind of highlight these and you can type there. But say like you just press like that and it kind of didn't let you define them, you can press the shortcut D or the dimension tool. And as you press aside and pull out, it'll let you see what the dimension is. And when you click in that space, you can set them again if you weren't able to the first time.
Thank you.
Of course. So using the dimension tool is also really helpful if you aren't able to like add the dimensions initially and when you're making really complicated sketches that you want to be well defined. So I'll just go back and make a cube. And the really nice thing about like this side panel is it kind of shows a history of everything you've done. So it says like it's missing a face because I deleted it. So I'm just like going to put it back and select it. And now it should be extruded. Pretty cool. So was everyone able to make a cube? Yeah, so it's a pretty simple idea. And so for the cup exercise, there are several ways to make a cup in CAD. What you can imagine would be like maybe extruding two things or several things. So here's one cup, and it starts with a sketch. So the sketch has like two circles, and to make the cup, first one of the circles was extruded. So this is the walls, and then the second one was extruded, which makes the base. So I can kind of walk you all through that example. Starting with the sketch again, I would be using the center point circle, that makes it easier. And you just would make two like circles and set the dimensions again. And like if you aren't able to set the dimensions, also really quickly, another way is like sometimes you'll press out and it'll start drawing another circle. For that to stop, just select the tool again. And if you aren't able to set the dimensions, you can use the dimension tool. Then when you're done with the sketch, you have two circles. You can start by extruding one. So I'll extrude like the outer rim. And I would say I only want it to be like 40 millimeters. And then check. I want to extrude the other part of the sketch. So I'd select the inner circle and extrude that. Maybe like 5 millimeters because the base doesn't need to be too thick. And you can select different things under each like setting, like extrude. So you could extrude a solid or a surface. You can also make a new part. So as you make parts, they show up in this side, or you can add to the part that you already have here. So this would merge it with part one, and that's kind of what we want because the cup is kind of all together. And also hide the sketch so you don't see it anymore, and there you go. So there's several ways to make a cup. Another one is using the remove tool. So for this one, I started with just a circle. Then I extruded it to make a cylinder, right? Once I had that, you can actually make a sketch on the face of the cylinder. So I made this sketch that is a circle on the cylinder, and when using the extrude tool, not only can you add, but you can also remove from shapes. So that makes it helpful for making a cup, right? There's another way to make a cup too. This would be using the revolve tool. So for this one, we haven't looked at the revolve tool yet, but I think kind of getting an idea for all of the different ways you can do something shows all the possibilities when it comes to CAD. So if you think about a cup and you cut it in quarters, this is kind of what like one of the face of the quarters would look like. And if you were to revolve it, you would get a complete cup. So what I did for this is I used the corner point rectangles and I just drew them like this, set the dimensions again, and then whenever you're trying to revolve something, you always need an axis for the revolution. So that's what I did here. And after I finished this sketch, I used the revolve tool. So here's the extrude tool, and the revolve tool is right beside it. It kind of looks like it's making a donut. And so you can use this for several applications, and that makes another cup. There's also another way to make a cup, and I guess the point of all of this is to show you that there are several ways to do things in CAD, and kind of that spatial thinking, or that way of like, how can I make this piece is really important. So I'm sure this isn't the last way, but this should be the last way I show you all, is using another tool. So I'm just going to start with a sketch, and start with a circle. I want my cup to have like a diameter of 50, so that's good. Now I'm going to extrude it, and maybe also a height of 50 would be nice. I'm going to be using the shell tool. So there's a tool that makes a shell from any shape. If I press the face I want, it'll kind of make it hollow. So I want my thickness to be 5 millimeters. So it makes the cup, and the base is also there. If I press the other side, it would make it into a tube. So now it's a tube, but we don't really want that. We want a cup. So the cup needs to hold stuff. And that's pretty much it. So there are a lot of different tools and a lot of ways you can use them to make something. So we kind of already went over like making sketches, which is kind of the main idea for today. And also looking at how to sketch and all of the toolbars you can note, like use, shapes you can use. Playing around with them is one of the best ways to do that. And so defining is something we also talked about. So defining the dimensions. On the left, you can see an example. So this is a piece that we used for robotics. It's not well defined at all, and you can tell because all the lines are blue. And so that means as we try to like change something in the future, we're like, actually, this was too big. You kind of have to edit everything. Whereas if you define your sketch well, you can go back into the sketch and then just click on the dimension and change it. Also looked at the extrude tool, which is all very helpful, and the toolbar. So one of the cool things about the toolbar is that there's so many ways that you can like use it, and there's like a fillet tool. So you can like press this and it'll make it curved, and you can kind of set a radius for what you'd like. A chamfer tool, which makes it like edged. So instead of like rounded, it's kind of sharp now. And then pretty much a lot of tools you can use to make patterns, to combine shapes, to like move them around. But for now, we'll only be focusing like up to here. All right, so I'd like to start by having like a simple challenge, and the idea is to make your own bracket. So I'll go over like one way to make it, but like I said before, there are always a bunch of ways to make anything. So this is a bracket that I made, and I started with a sketch like this. And then I extruded it. And then after that, I made another sketch. That sketch, let's see if I can open it. For these circles on this face, and then this sketch, you can see it has two shapes that I extruded. Right, so if you all want to try maybe like making a bracket, if someone is able to get it, put it in the chat, and I'd like you to share your solution. Or you can just unmute whenever, actually. You don't have to type in the chat if you prefer to just talk. So maybe in like 15 minutes, do you guys think that's enough time? Yeah? Okay, cool.
What should be the dimensions?
You can set the dimensions yourself. For mine, I used a 22 by 10. That was completely arbitrary and random. So you can choose whatever you'd like, but
Oh.
yeah. Also, try to make sure that you have no undefined sketch objects, so none of the lines are blue. If you're not able to do that though, and you still like are able to make it, that's fine. And then if you're able to do this relatively quickly, I would try making an angle bracket that isn't at 90 degrees. That could be an interesting challenge. Yeah, so about 10 more minutes, I think. there's a question that's how do I change the length of a sketch? So I'm guessing you mean like the dimensions, right, Cruz? You can unmute and like elaborate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, how exactly would I like type it in actually?
Yeah, so if you don't see the option to like type it in anymore, I'm just gonna create a new part studio to kind of show you. So like making a sketch, right? And I make a top plane, rectangle, something like that. And it's just like all blue. You can use the dimensions tool. So
Mm.
press that and like press the line you want to define. And you just like pull out, click anywhere, and then it lets you type. So like if
Mhm.
you want it to be 40, you can do
Mhm.
that. And then also you wanted to define it. Say you didn't make it in the origin, you should indicate the distance from the origin too. So this one, say I want it to be 10. It's still going to be blue because it doesn't know like where it's supposed to be. So then I would say the distance from the origin is like, let's see if I can, there you go, 2. And then like height from the origin is also going to be 2. And it's completely defined. So you can use the dimension tool.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. There's about 3 more minutes. Does anyone think they can like share their solution or are you guys making good progress? Bennett, you can go ahead.
I was gonna say the little thing where you make your dimensions, like your rectangles,
Mhm.
it just disappeared. It's not on my
Hmm.
toolbar anymore, as well as the dimension. I even searched for it. It's nothing
Oh,
comes up.
it's possible because you're not in the sketch, but if you'd like to share your screen, that would be helpful.
Sure. Mm.
Yeah, so it seems like you're decided, like you're extruding, right? So you're not going to see any of the sketch settings anymore. So press the X on like the extrude tool, like here. You can press this X. And then double click into your sketch. So like right here where it says sketch 1. So now you can like go in and the dimensions tool should be right here.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So like there are tools that are used for making your sketch and there are also then tools that are used once you've like you're out of the sketch. So you can only get those tools when you're in the sketch.
Okay.
Okay, what are we thinking? Would it be helpful if I went over an example more thoroughly and like made it with you all instead of that? Maybe. I guess we can start by doing that so I can be more thorough with like the example. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen again and I'm going to show you all like step by step how I would make an angle bracket. Alright, so I'm starting with a new part studio and I'm going to make a sketch on the top plane. So I want to make it easier to see, so I'll just press here and I will use the center point rectangle. Since it's already on the origin, by the way, the origin is like the center point, I can just set my dimensions. So I want it to be 50 by 20. Nice. And I want 2 holes in it. So I'm just going to make this hole, I want it to be like 5 millimeters and this one to be like 5 millimeters. So on the robotics team, we use like brackets like this a lot, so being able to make them is a pretty good skill, I would say. So if you see, it looks like my circles are still undefined, and that's because they don't have a dimension from like how far away to be from the origin. So to dimension that, I'll show that again. I would use the dimension tool, and you press like the center of the circle, and then you press the origin, and then you drag out and you can click anywhere and you can set that. Another thing you can do, you don't have to do it directly to the origin, so I could delete this. I could do it from this to this wall, and I could be like, I want it to be 5 from the wall. And that works too because it knows how far this is from the origin. So relating that to like a distance you already have makes it work. And then I want this one to be 10 from this one. Okay, that's a pretty weird angle bracket, but I guess it's okay. All of them are defined. It has 2 holes. Nice. So the next thing I would do is extrude it. And do that with the extrude tool. I'm only selecting the part, like if I selected where the holes were too, you can see it would extrude them, but I don't want that because I want them to be holes. So I'm like, oh, I accidentally selected the wrong part. Just selecting that. And I don't want it to be too thick. I think 5 is good. Awesome. I don't really have a bracket now though. I just have some piece with 2 holes in it. So an interesting thing about Onshape is that you can sketch on the planes of objects. For example, I can sketch on this face. So I can sketch on the face of extrude 1, which is very cool. I'm just gonna like go into that and use a corner rectangle, which means I can start by like the corner and drag somewhere. So I want it to be like 5 by 10. Oh, I overdefined it. That's my bad. Yeah, what's your question?
So mine won't work. Like it won't like stay in one position. Like so when I do the dimensions, the thingy won't stay in one position. If I try to click on it, it just turns into an angle.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I can help you right now. Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
Here, let me stop sharing.
So like when I try to get it just turns into an angle.
Oh, yeah. So sometimes it'll do that. I'm guessing it's because you're like pressing the line down the middle. Try to dimension it again. So
Okay.
like and then just press out there.
Okay,
There we
there.
go.
Yeah, because before it, even if I did click out of it, it still would make the angle.
I see. So Onshape can be kind of finicky in that way. Bennett, you said that happens to you too. Do you want to share your screen if that's still an issue?
Oh, I meant when I originally create the rectangle box
Mhm.
and I try to change the dimensions. When I go to click on it, it just turns into another. It just tries. It just
Okay.
tries to make. make another box.
Oh yeah. So sometimes with that, you always want to deselect the tool you're working with, because then it'll be like you're making another box in this space. To do that, just like select the tool again, and that should help deselect it. I'm going to share my screen again because this is a good example. When it turns all red, that means it's like over-defined, which means you set the dimension for something that it already knows. So it already knows that this is supposed to be 10 millimeters tall. So when I set it again, it doesn't like it. And so it says it's like over-defined, and that's why it's red. So you can just take that off. And now it's good. So my sketch is defined, and I'm good to extrude it. So then what I would do is using the extrude tool, you can see that it made the sketch on the actual like part of the bracket, which is pretty cool. I would then extrude it like this and maybe I want it to be 50. Okay. And now the cool thing is it doesn't have to be like only on the top plane. I can also draw on this plane. So like sketch, and I can choose this as the plane. And I have that. So I can make 2 holes in it. 5 millimeter and another 5 millimeter. I'll just dimension them the same way. So I want this one to be 5 millimeters from the edge of the thing, and this one to be 10 millimeters from the center of the other one. Cool. So I have a sketch, and we know that the extrude tool can like help add and remove. So I'm going to use the extrude tool to make these holes. So right now it seems like it's just adding, but if we look under the settings, there's an option that says remove. And so now it's completely hollowed them out. And have a pretty wacky looking angle bracket, but it's an angle bracket. How's everyone else doing? Was anyone able to make an angle bracket? Maybe another way or the same way? Or are you trying to do this way? Are we having no luck with angle brackets? Not really. Still working on it? Oh, that's totally fine. If you have any questions, let me know. Yeah, if something is going wrong, sounds good. Do you guys think like, oh, Chris, go ahead.
So when I try to extrude, it just extrudes the whole thing, even like it, because I already drew a line so that it wouldn't extrude everything. So I don't know what's wrong.
Could you share your screen?
Yeah, but like it just deleted itself. Like, so
There's an
when I was
undo
trying
button.
to,
If you,
okay.
it's
Opened it.
right. Yeah, right there. Oh, it's gone. You can open your old sketch like this one or this one. By double clicking on it, you can open it.
Yeah, so I did this, and then I'm gonna do sketch. Oh, I'm gonna do true, and yeah, it does the whole thing except instead of the line.
Oh, you mean like this section?
Yeah,
Okay, do you mind like pressing the X on this really quickly? On the extrude.
sure.
And then like there's some other things here. You can like select those and press the delete key on your keyboard to like delete them. Or is it not working?
I don't.
So like you can
Okay.
select these and try deleting them. Like the things in red.
And oh,
That means they're like errors.
okay.
So you can also delete like this and this and this. Just by that. Yeah.
Okay, there.
Alright,
Well, I'm gonna sketch again because
got it.
okay, I'm gonna sketch.
Yes. Awesome.
Okay, and then I'm gonna do center point. Okay, there. And
You
then,
can type right now to set the dimensions. Like if you just type in your keyboard like 65, and now type 20, or 20.5, whatever you'd like. That way you can set the
wow.
dimensions. If you want to drag that out, you might want to deselect the rectangle tool first. Yeah, and just drag it.
There.
Nice.
Wow. And now I'm gonna make another one.
Mhm.
Whoa. Now center point.
Cool. Fully defined. All right. And now you want to try extruding only one of them, right?
Yeah. Wait. First, let me just.
Make your holes. Center point is probably good for this.
Probably like right up there.
You set the dimensions now too by typing, like right when you finish. You can type like 10 or 9 or whatever you'd like. And now you might have to use the dimension tool. Like select somewhere else. Like click anywhere else. So like click here or something. And now type. There you go.
There.
And then you have to set the dimension from like this to this or
Right.
to the origin. It's to do that, you can like click on the center of the circle and then click on the wall of the rectangle and then click somewhere else, like over here. And then you can type.
I'm gonna do like 10,
Sounds good.
and then there.
Yeah, so it's all defined. Nice.
Wait, what?
Sure.
Oh, but yeah, it is correct. So then why does it look all weird?
You can select the dimension tool to like make it stop.
Oh. Okay,
What
wait.
do you,
Oh, yeah.
you mean it looks weird?
Kind of like this right here looks smaller than, wait. Nope, never mind. But yeah, this dimension right here
Right,
looks bigger than this right here.
that's true. Because this distance is the same as this one, but these two aren't the same, right?
Yeah. So then I'd
think-
have to add this over on this side, I think.
You can dimension it to the origin instead, so they're the same distance from the middle.
Okay. Yeah.
So to do that, you would have to select these, like the where it says 10 and 10 here, and delete them first.
There.
So
Mm.
select dimension tool,
Right. Dimension.
and then drag somewhere and press out.
I'm gonna do
Maybe 5, 9, 8.
probably maybe like 20. Let's see how that works. Okay.
That one might be too far away for this one, and it might get into the way of the other wall. That
Yeah, I think
works.
that looks good.
Alright, then you can finish your sketch by pressing the check mark.
Oh.
Nice. Time to extrude.
And then
Choose
here.
so you want to extrude that first.
Yep.
Alright, so maybe press like right here in the corner to kind of get like a side view of it.
Okay.
Just like click. Yeah, so you can see how deep it is. Is that how big you want your bracket to be?
No, I want it to be
Longer?
yeah, like maybe 60.
Yeah, so you can type that here. Bennett, you have a question?
So I'm almost finished. I'm just having issue with one hole.
Okay. What's happening with your hole?
So I have the sketch, but because the extrude on the upper one, I was using the hole tool, and the hole tool won't. When I go to click on the sketch and go to the hole, it won't make a hole there.
Okay, maybe try doing like extrude, but instead of extrude, do remove. Like, is that what you
Oh,
mean?
yep.
And we'll finish cruises first, and then if you still have issues, you can try screen sharing.
And that just
Okay.
fixed it. Thank you.
Yeah. Cruise. So you selected
Ooh.
both faces, but you have to X out one of them.
So
So maybe the second one to make like this top part first. And then you
Okay.
said 60, right?
yeah.
And now that you're done, you can press the check mark. You're gonna have to do this with 2 extrudes. So now you're gonna have to extrude the second part. You can't see your sketch anymore, right? What you can do is press the I right here, like hover over where it says sketch 1 and then press the I.
Oh, wow. Now
And then
we
extrude
do-
again.
But this time we do. Click on it. Look at that.
Awesome. Like click. There you go.
Oh, I like
How
that.
does okay, so press the check mark. And it seems like you have to make 2 more holes on the other thing. Do you know how you're gonna do that?
Yeah, I'm probably just going to place the sketch again, but like right here.
Okay, go ahead and try that. So you have to make a new sketch.
Right.
and you have to select that as your plane. So like
And
press
then-
on where you want the hole to be. You can select here, or you could put there. I think going on like this surface is easier though. If you want to select another plane, you have to X here.
Yeah, okay, this is the right plane. And then how would I make it so that this sketch is the exact same as this sketch?
You're gonna have to dimension it to be the same way. So another thing you could do though to make it exactly the same is copy sketch entities. That's a little bit more complicated, but if you want, I could show you how.
Copy sketch. And then we do. So I already copied sketch 1.
Great. Try to like go into sketch 2 and is there an option to paste it? Like right click.
I'm
Yeah,
right
no.
clicking.
I think what you're going to have to do is go into sketch 1, like double click into it.
And
Edit.
edit.
Can you press the N key on your keyboard, like N?
And
That makes it easier to see.
okay.
Then
yeah.
like right click and drag a square like over everything.
Oh.
Did I say right click or left click? I think right click. Yeah, there you go.
So look.
And then like left click on that.
And then left click on that.
Oh no, it's not opening it.
Wait,
Hmm.
I think if
Try
I do
left
this
click.
again.
Yeah.
There. And then I go to
Oh, if you do like Control C and Control V, it won't work on here. What you want to do is like left click.
Yep, got it.
And like that was right click, right? Right click and drag.
That was left click and drag.
Oh dang, I don't know my left from my right. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Okay,
It's okay.
and then you're gonna right click. And then it says,
Paste sketch.
where it says copy sketch entities.
I think
Or
I already
maybe you
copied it.
Yeah, that's probably it. So going to the new sketch, like over here, sketch 2, maybe try
Okay,
to
sketch
paste them
2.
like that. Press N.
So now sketch 2.
Like right click in here. Yeah. Paste sketch entities. You're gonna have to turn them. You can use the arrows. I think like right here, let me annotate really quickly. You see this that looks like a circle?
Yep, right here.
Yeah, move it around. And you're probably gonna do 90 degrees. Nice. And then press enter.
Okay, enter.
And then use these arrows to like move
Oh.
it down.
And then move it down. Right here.
Didn't move it. Try like dragging the arrow instead. That one, yeah. Instead of the circle, like press the arrow and move it. There you go. So move it down.
Okay, and
then that way. I honestly think this is the hard way to do it because it's taking a while. It might
wait,
just
I
been
actually
easier.
have to now turn it around
Oh,
because it wasn't actually in the right position.
it wasn't? Oh yeah, you mean it was like upside down. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think this honestly was a hard way to do it because copying a sketch entity for something this simple is kind of like overkill in a way because what you could have done is just drawn the circles yourself. When you're done moving it, just click somewhere else with the left button, like how it says here in the drawing. Just click anywhere. Cool.
And then I'm gonna have to
They're also over defined. I mean, I'm not defined, so you're gonna have to define them using the dimensions tool.
Okay, so then now I'm gonna do extrude, but I'm gonna do 65 instead.
And for extrude, you want to select the circles, not the. So maybe press this X and kind of move it so you can see the whole sketch. Press the circles, like that one.
Right here.
Oh no, the other ones, the ones you in the sketch. So like
Oh,
kind of move it.
in this sketch
This
right here.
one, yeah, and this one, yeah.
Okay, so
So
then
that one. Just press the not the center, but the like the face of it.
um,
There. Are you left clicking
I'm right
or right
clicking.
clicking? Oh, left click.
Oh, okay.
So it selects them. Yeah, there you go. And again for the other one. And then put remove.
I'm gonna do
And where it has this arrow, make it go the other way. So just click it. There you go. And now it makes the
there.
holes in the other one. And you can press the check mark now that you're done. And you'll have a bracket. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I haven't gotten all of it because this is still 5 millimeters off.
So what you would do for that is edit the sketch you just extruded.
So wait, actually, I think I'm gonna go to
That's
this
gonna
sketch, and I'm gonna click on.
yeah, so I think this was kind of the hard way to make a bracket. Bennett, were you done with your bracket? Do you want to share how you did it?
Sure.
All right, Kurz, could you stop screen sharing? Awesome.
So how I did it, I just did what you did.
You might want to zoom in by like scrolling. There you go. Interesting. So like the same way, and then you did like extrude for the holes.
I just drew the holes by myself.
Got it. Could you press into one of your sketches? Like
Sure.
double click into it. It's not defined. Press like the N key. So like it's not defined because you have to set something relative to the origin and also your like things. Do you think you would know how to define it? We can do that right now.
Find the holes. The holes are each 8 millimeters.
Got it. Okay. So maybe press into your first sketch. And press the N key, like on your keyboard. That makes it easier to see. So using like the dimensions tool, could you click it? And then select the center of like one of the circles. And then the center of another circle. You just have to click once. That one. So that one. And it has the distance now. Select anywhere else. Like click and set the distance that you want. 13. Cool. And then select the origin with the dimensions tool again. So like the center of that circle, center of this circle, and one of like, you can select this or something. And then like the edge. Wait, what is happening? Sorry. I can't tell what you're dimensioning. Is it the corner?
Mhm.
Try to press the dimensions tool again, sorry. Like to select it and deselect it. And then, and yeah, nice. Okay. So what you want to do is like select the center of this, the dimensions tool, yeah, and then press this like once. And then drag out like anywhere. Cool. And now you can set that. And now it's defined. Nice. So that's kind of how you define your sketch. If it's not in the origin, you have to tell it how far from the origin it needs to be. So you can like define it relative to a space, if that makes sense. Pretty cool bracket. Was anyone else able to get a bracket other than Cruz and Bennett? You don't have to explain, but if you'd like to just screen share, or if it was a different method, that would be cool. Not really. So everyone did it kind of the same way. That's fine. So we're going to have a break now. So break starts at 2:30 and ends at 2:45. Try to be back by then and probably get off of Onshape. It's kind of draining because sometimes there's so many bugs. And I'll see you all in about 15 minutes. Thank you. You can turn off your cameras too. Okay, we are back. So I think after looking at angles, I'm going to show you all an example of how to make an angle bracket that isn't 90 degrees, because that's kind of useful in some situations. Like you can imagine you're building something and like it's not exactly 90 degrees and you kind of have to like screw it together either way. So we'll start with something like that and then you all can try to replicate it. And then if we have time after that, I think we might go into some of the stuff planned for tomorrow, which is looking more into the revolve tool and how to design a marker. But that'll be like another challenge for tomorrow. So I will get started by sharing my screen in Onshape. All right. Cool. Okay. So for this, I'm just gonna start by making a new sketch, and feel free to follow along if you'd like to too. By the end of this, I think it would be cool if someone could share their screen and show how to do it as well, just to make sure that like you actually know how to and you can do it yourself, because that's kind of what's important about like learning anything. So I'll start with a new part studio, and I think I'm going to, instead of sketching on the top plane, I'm going to sketch on the front plane. So let's see, I'm going to press N and view it normal. And if I were to make a bracket that was not 90 degrees, I think I would use lines, right? Maybe something like so I'm kind of making like an angle, and since my bracket needs to have like walls in a way, I'm kind of just making it kind of look like that. So if I had an angled bracket and you cut it in half, this is kind of what I'm imagining it would look like. So you can see my sketch is undefined because all the lines are blue. So the first thing I'm going to do is start going in and defining things. I want it to have a thickness of 3 millimeters, and it seems like these are not aligned that I want them to be. So it's like that. And then I need to define like this line. Ah, okay. I can also set the angle this way. So maybe I know that the like angle I need to make has to be 60 degrees. I can set it that way. And now my sketch is fully defined, which is pretty cool. So I have this sketch and now I need to kind of extrude it because of course it needs to be 3D. I'm just gonna like look at it from an angle. I think that makes it easier to like know when you're extruding. So I'll just press this and using the extrude tool, I just select the face. I think that's a good thickness, so I will go ahead and do that. And now I know for a cruise we chose to sketch on the right plane, but for something like this, I think it would be easier to choose to sketch on the actual faces of the shape itself, and that's something you can actually do. So starting here, I would choose when it says select sketch plane, I choose right here, and then I press N because I like to view normal to my sketch. That makes it easier, and I can just start drawing some circles. I'll set them to be 5. I never want 2 circles. They're not very well aligned right now. So I'm going to like set some dimensions. Like from here to here, I want to out 25 over 2. So half of the width of my bracket because I extruded it to be 25. And this one will be the same. I want this one to be like slightly lower. So I'm going to say -10 from the origin, and that moves it down. I think that's good. And then this one will be 10 from the wall. All right, pretty cool. So I have my holes, and did I not save the sketch? Oh, I pressed the X instead of the check mark. That's my mistake. I can do it again. I'm just gonna sketch it again then. Why did they put them so close to each other? That's fine. Another circle, another circle. Oops, my bad. That's way too much. So I'm just gonna fix it by like that. Alright, cool. Now I'll press check. Okay, now the sketch is saved and we can actually see it. That's pretty great. And I'm just gonna extrude it. So I will select the extrude tool. And if you all remember, extrude has several options. We'd be using the remove because we want to make them holes. And that is not what we want. It's making a hole through the other one. So I'll only make it for a depth of 4, 3. 3 should be safe. Yeah. Awesome. The thing is, I don't really like where this one is. It makes it kind of hard to reach. So the good thing about defining your sketches is you can always go back into it. And I'm going to press N and kind of change some stuff. So it's like, you know what? The bracket is way too, like, close to the base. So I can set this to -5 instead, so it goes higher. Once I press the check mark, it'll save those changes and also do the extrude. So that's pretty cool. And you can just change stuff that way. I'm going to do the same thing and make some holes on this face, and then we have a bracket. So quickly, I'll sketch on this side. It's easier to see. Awesome. And then you just extrude them using remove. So I'm removing this to make a hole, and this also to make a hole. Is it going the right way? Yes, it is. Awesome. And I'll just select the check mark. So there we have an angled bracket. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Does anyone think they can recreate this in Onshape? And if you could share your screen and like show us how you would make it. You could do the same way or do it differently. Whatever works. No one thinks they can do it? Not really? Cruz, you want to try it?
Yeah.
All right, share your screen. Cool.
Okay. So I have this. Actually, I think it might have to be here. Sketch. Sketch 1.
That looks pretty cool, but it doesn't have any thickness yet. Like, there's no walls. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
You can go back into your old sketch by double clicking on it. So, like,
And then
you still have to, you can use the line tool, yeah. Awesome. Oh, yeah. There you
there.
go. Once it's gray, you know it's a closed shape, so that's good.
Yep. So now turn to yeah. And then sketch. Yeah.
You can type to set the dimensions. Seems like you cannot anymore, so I would use the dimension tool. If you wanted though, you could leave it undefined. I noticed that you left the sketch for the main body of the bracket undefined, and like things will still work, but if you ever want to go back in and change them, that's where it kind of gets complicated.
Yeah. So wait, it'd be 2/25. We have it.
25 over 2, that would be half of
Right.
it. So
Yeah.
12.5. Yes, awesome.
There. So now,
Yep. So like click the origin and then the center of the circle. Sometimes if it acts up, just deselect and select the dimensions tool again. That might help. Do you need some help? I can request remote control to help you dimension it.
yeah, because I don't even know what happened.
Okay, so you have the dimensions tool and you're going to select this. Play again. So this and then this. And there you go. You can type the value. How far do you want it to be?
Oh, like 24.
24? I think you have to type it more. Oh, there you go,
There.
yeah. And then the same thing for this one. So you click here once, and you click here, and there you go. Oh.
Yeah, but side. Oh,
Uh-oh.
yeah. But it's also sideways. I don't know how to turn it back.
Oh, yeah, you can turn it back. Let's fix this. Not 24, 24, just 124. Nice. Okay. You mean like it's turned? You want it to be like this?
Yeah.
You can press this arrow, see?
Okay, there. Yeah.
Got it. And you're done with the sketch.
Yeah, that looks good. Wait.
So, cool. And then you choose remove. And make sure it doesn't like get into the other side.
Yep.
Uh-oh. Oh, you
Okay.
select other faces. So you're like,
Oh.
you want to X these out. I think it's this one. It's this one you need to X out. There you go. And just choose them again. You're left clicking? Or like,
I'm
you need to left click.
okay.
So if you notice, that one's going through. So yeah, make it shorter. You can adjust the value here. Using the arrow, you can drag it more inward. How thick did you make your sketch? Oh, right, it's not defined. I would say maybe 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I should probably.
4.5. You can go back in the sketch and adjust the thickness by using the dimensions tool, and that might make it easier to make sure. I don't think that worked. Yeah. Probably try extruding again.
Actually, I think this. I'm gonna try 20. 3. Wait, oh, forgot. Sketch.
You are trying to dimension sketch 3, but there's nothing in it. You just made sketch 3.
Oh no, I meant to do sketch 2. Sketch
You
3.
can press this X.
Sketch 2. Okay. And
There you go. So you can move it more up so it doesn't get in the way. Maybe like 12, which would be half.
that could work.
Yeah, that works. And then you can press the check mark again and try to extrude.
Mm,
Probably make it a bit shorter. Nice.
There.
And also select the other one. You can extrude 2 at a time. So you can press back into this extrude, like double click into it. You want to select solid.
Solid. And then move. There.
Awesome. That's great. And then you would do the same thing for the other side, right?
Wait.
Like to make the holes.
Nope. So then I'm gonna do sketch 2. Copy sketch. Paste sketch. There. Yep.
You can do 2 extrudes at a time. Like where it says select faces, press it. Like you need to right, you need to left click.
Wait, which?
If you go back
Okay.
into this extrude, like double click into it, extrude 4. Like double or edit, yeah, you can press edit. Then just click that. Instead of left click, there you go. That way you can do 2 at a time. And you can use this arrow to adjust the thickness again for both of them. Yeah, that one. Very cool. Okay. And there you go, an angle bracket. And then if you correctly define it, you can like actually set the bracket, like angle, and really just test it with a bunch of different stuff to make sure it works for what you need.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for sharing that. I think now I'm just gonna do a quick overview of like organization for Onshin. So once you start making a lot of parts, how do you organize them and then how you can put them together. So this is the CAD for the like our team's robot last year, and there are several people who work on it. So Teddy, which is another mechanical team member, and Debbie. And you can see like there's a lot of stuff going on. So this like shows the versions and all the history of everything that's happened. Then on this side, like for you guys have noticed, you can see like all of the planes and then everything you've done. So there are like folders that you can make in Onshape that can store everything you need. So when you have like the plus sign and you put insert new element, you can create a folder and you can create a part studio. And so far we've just been using part studios. So this is gonna take a bit. This is the robot, and you can see that this doesn't really look like a part studio icon. It's actually an assembly. And right now it's kind of lagging a bit. So you can tell it's hard to like differentiate it. Once it loads completely, it'll probably look a bit better. But that's kind of what it looks like. And so in all of this, there are folders, there's components, and to do this all, it's lagging pretty badly. And to do this all, I guess organization is pretty important. So that's kind of what I want to show you all today. This is something that I made. It's kind of like a Game Boy case, if that makes sense, but it has cat ears because it's cool that way. I don't know. And I was just messing around with it, right? So if you look at like this, it's actually in something called an assembly, and I have the front part. I made it in one part studio. So this is where I made one part, and this is where I made the other part. This is the back part. To put them together, you can use something called an assembly. So you go here and you put create assembly, just like you would to make a new part studio. And it's like empty space, basically. You can insert your parts by going to the insert tool and then putting them in. So you can like choose this piece and this piece. And right now they're kind of overlapping each other. That's not very good. But you can move them around and kind of get everything in line and then use something called mates. So on the robotics team, a lot of the pieces that the like robot uses are already pre-existing pieces that you can buy. So like Go Builda provides CAD files that you can then like use to model your own robot and make sure that if you're going to buy that piece, it fits into your assembly and everything works out well. So that's kind of where you would use the assembly for combining things. Here I have something called a mate. So mates are like fasteners and they're what stick things together. So this kind of helps connect these pieces. You can see it's on this side and it connects them together. And there are different types of mates. There's a fasten mate that just sticks them together. And then one if you need something to like revolve. So that's kind of getting into the details. But tomorrow what you would be doing is using a fasten mate to make a marker and a lid. And we would be doing that with an assembly. And yeah, so that's kind of how you can organize yourself in like Onshape. There are also ways to import images and change the color of things, which will be useful for the project tomorrow. So to import an image, you can go into any sketch. This is another file that I made. If you've ever played Hollow Knight, this is a mask from that game. A lot of things you can do to practice CAD is actually like look at pre-existing things that you want to recreate. So that's kind of what I do a lot, and these are some examples. But to put an image of something, you can just make a new sketch, and then like look at the sketch. There's a tool right here that has like a little file, and you can insert an image to serve as a reference. I have several imported images like this one, and you can then trace it to get the idea of what the shape you want to do is, and then extrude it when you're done with that. So I'll just X out the sketch because I'm not going to actually use it. That's pretty helpful to staying organized and everything. Another thing is changing the color of any pieces. So today you all made brackets. If you'd like to change the color of them, you can go to the part that they are, then right click it. It says edit appearance, and you can change this. So you can choose any of the colors, or you can make your own color. I want it to be like dark blue or something. That's a cool color. You can also adjust for the transparency. So set it to be kind of see-through because it's like supposed to be made of glass or something like that. You can do that as well. So how did you make the nail of the Hollow Knight? Yeah, I can show you that. For this, what do you mean the nail? Here's the weapon? Oh, you mean the spike? Like the needle, right? I haven't made that yet. I only have a mask right now. Yeah, if you're talking, you're muted, by the way. Yes, it's kind of hard to read your facial expressions because of the filter, but I will take
Yeah,
that
I know.
as
Wait. Oh my gosh, I never I thought I took off this filter.
oh no, it's been
Yeah.
on for this whole time.
Oh my.
Yeah, so there you go. The so I guess you could think of a way to make the needle, and I would probably make triangles, right? And I'm like trying to think what would be a good way.
Like a really
I think,
long triangle and then have a rod and then put those together.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think something like this would be good as well. So like this could be the base. I'm just gonna define it because that's always helpful if you want to change the sizes. 35. Cool. Then I would It's maybe a bad way to do it, but I guess that's kind of where the fun comes into play. You can always test different things and like figure out what's a good way to make something. And then I would use this chamfer tool. You can kind of see it started to make it pointy, but we want it to be really pointy. That's too much. Okay, I guess 11 is the most sharp it's gonna be. So now it looks like a blade, kind of. And then for the bottom, I don't know, I feel like I need a picture. Let's see. With oh, I spelled that wrong. Where did it go? Oh, right here. It looks not that bad. I'd say we would need to make it a bit longer, but I think this is good. A good start. Anyway, this is just a random example to show that you can really make anything. And I guess doing that is really good practice because you can kind of get an idea of, okay, I see something in the real world, but I want to make it like I want to 3D print it so I can have it myself, or I just want to I think that's cool. Yeah, it's a lot of power to be able to see something and then make your own model of it and then be able to make it yourself. So, yeah, I think that's almost pretty much it for today. We did the brackets and everyone did pretty good. I was impressed that you guys were able to get it like relatively quickly compared to the CAD group. So great job with that. And I know we're early on time, so if anyone has any questions or anything, yeah. No questions. If there's anything that you guys are interested in CADing, like I know Cruz asked about the Hollow Knight needle. You could finish doing this today if you'd like. You can try making your own. It's really whatever you'd like. But today's content that's pretty much it. So if there is something you're interested in CADing, I know I have like some prompts, like tomorrow you're supposed to be make markers on your robotic arm, but if there's anything else you're interested in, you can put it in the chat and we can try to do that as well tomorrow, because in the end, this is a course for you all. So if you get like the most from like learning how to make something you're interested in, that would be cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you feel satisfied and you don't have any questions, you're good to go. If you do have questions, let me know and we can kind of address those. Yeah, we have like a whole 40 minutes, so in the meantime, I'll just start like keep making this needle and like narrate it if you guys want to know how. And yeah. So to keep making the hand, oh, Cruz, you have a question? Go ahead.
So if you want multiple people to also help you, like say, my sister also wanted to help me on like making, I don't know, a sword, like a really complex sword.
Right.
How would she be able to help me if, like, while I'm still also on it too?
Yeah, so there's the share feature. So if you put share this document, I can like put your email account that you have associated with it, and I make sure that you like can edit. So I could share this with you, and you would be able to edit it as well. And you should put someone's email. You can also share the link. The link will let anyone like see it, so like you can view it, but you can also edit the permissions to like be able to export it. So if someone wanted to 3D print your piece, you could share it. Like I'm gonna put this in the chat, so then you can view all of the random stuff in this file that I've like made, just to give you an idea of what you can CAD. But you won't be able to edit. If you do want to edit, you would have to like say your sister has an Onshape account, get her email address and then put it in. Make sure you put like can't edit and then share it. Yep.
Okay.
I'm just oh sorry. Yeah. Okay, to keep making this, I think I'm gonna make a handle for it by drawing on this plane. So I'm gonna make a sketch normal to this. Say I want the handle to be like 15 and it's good. I then extrude it. This is actually a really big sword. I kind of just realized that. Oh well. I mean, it's supposed to be like a big needle thing. I actually don't even know what it's called. But that's let's say like that. Cool. And then I want to make like a loop thing that goes at the bottom of it. So I'm gonna draw like I'm gonna orient myself because I'm kind of lost in space right now. I'd say like a loop thing that can work as the handle. So on the top plane, I'm gonna make a new sketch. And it's going to be just a circle here. It'll be a circle over here. That's like a 5. maybe 8mm. And then I'm just gonna dimension it so I know the distance from the origin and everything. It's kind of hard to select it. There you go. Oops, again. Okay, and then I'm going to make a line. So this is kind of something that we're going to be looking at tomorrow a lot as well, which is making lines for like the revolution and for using the other tool. Also, something that isn't that important, but good to know, is using construction lines. So construction lines are lines that will not actually be able to be extruded. They're just there as guides. And that's kind of what this is for. So I'm just gonna put it there about here. It doesn't really matter, but that's good. And I'd say I am done with the sketch. I actually want it to be a bit closer to the origin. So 5. Oh, that was my bad. I need to adjust this distance. There you go. Cool. So I'm just gonna select that. And now I'm going to use the revolve tool. So this should make a donut. I can choose this. Oh, this sword is getting in the way. I should be able to choose this line as the revolve axis. And it makes a cool donut. Interesting. So then for that, I am going to probably make it a bit smaller. Actually, no, I think that's a good size. I need to get it to the bottom of the sword, so I'm going to use this transform tool. So if you've heard like of a coordinate plane where you can transform lines by like transformations like shifts or stretches, that's basically what this is doing. So it's going to shift it by some like distance I tell it to move. So I want it to be like at the end of this. So I tell it to like, there is good. And then it needs to be in line with it. So something like that is good. And say I want these to be like one combined part. They don't really look very combined right now. I can put it like closer to it so it looks like it's actually part of it. And then I'm kind of satisfied, but I think this is too large. So I'm gonna make it slightly smaller. Instead of 15, I'll make it 10. That may be too small. But did you know, like, if you notice, instead of like making me rewrite or like re-extrude it, it just extruded automatically because this kind of works like a history that you can edit. So that kind of works. I think it's too long now. So I'm also going to adjust the extruding value. Maybe instead of 97, I'll make it 85. And then I will make my donut thicker. So I want this to have a wider diameter. I'll go with 9. Awesome. And now you have to transform it again so it matches right under. So it says translate by line. I want to translate it by X and Y distances that I tell it to move. And using these arrows is really helpful for that. Let's see if I can get it to something that looks good. I guess that works a bit. Yeah, so then what I'm going to do to make it part of one piece is select Oh no, I think I made a mistake. When I was doing my extrude, it says to add. I'm gonna make it a new piece. There you go. So I want this. So now I have two parts. I'm going to use Boolean to combine them. And honestly, this is kind of just a very quick way of showing you all like something that you can make. But if you have any questions along the way, you're like, wait, how do you combine those things? Or like, how did you make the donut again? Feel free to ask. I'm just going to use the union. So now, instead of being two parts, it's one. I don't really like that this piece is like sticking out right there, so I'm gonna adjust it again by making the donut even larger. So it's this sketch, and I'm going to adjust it again. And now it doesn't stick out, which I think it looks better. Alright, and then last thing, I'm going to make these some color. So this one is like black. I'm in the wrong file again. I think I will make mine. Wait, something else I've noticed. All these are very pointy, but mine looks rectangular. Yeah, that's an issue. Okay, let's fix this. I think I'm gonna fix the chamfer by making this distance like a lot. Maybe like 245. There you go. Now it looks more like it's supposed to. Nice. Yeah, I think this looks more like it's supposed to. And I'm going to change the color of it. So I want it to be maybe grayish. Let's adjust it. Maybe like a gray pinkish. That's kind of hard. Okay. And the handle looks good silver, and that's how you make the Hollow Knight noodle. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What else? Oh, and since we were talking about organization, I should probably name my part studio to match what I just made. So to do that, you can right click and put rename. And I'm going to rename this just like that. And now everything can stay organized and in, I guess, more detail so you can find it whenever you need to look for it. Very cool. I am a bit unsatisfied with this handle. It's not very cool. So I think one way to make it better is instead of doing an extrude, if you're like, oh, you know what, I don't really like this anymore, you can always suppress. So it'll like get rid of the extrude, and now the boolean is like, oh no, I don't have two parts to connect to. So you can actually suppress this too. It's not really working, and you can see it scratches them out, so it's like they never happened. Instead, I think I'm going to make something with a loft. So I will start by making a new plane. You can actually do this. You can make a plane off of like something else. So I'm just going to do it off of, let me select it. Like if I wanted to draw here, then I could make a offset plane. So this plane is going to be offset from whatever I tell it to be. So like I want it to be 78 millimeters away from the existing plane. That's what it would do. So I'm just gonna round to 80 because that makes life easier. And now I have a plane all the way over here. What I can do is then make a sketch on this plane. So the diameter of this was like 10. I think I'll go for a diameter of 15. Nice. Okay. So I have two circles. They're not connected though. What you can do is use one of the various tools that Onshape has. The one I'm using is called Loft. So you can kind of see from the picture what it's supposed to do. It's going to make it's going to make a solid that connects the smaller circle to the larger circle. So it asks me to choose two things. I'm going to choose this circle, not that, not the vertex, this one, and this one. And that connects them with a cone-like shape, which I think is more appropriate for the handle of this sword. And I'm going to, instead of, I think a new, yeah, new is good. There you go. So now we have that. My donut is once again out of place, so I'm going to edit it. First, I'm going to make it thicker so that this handle part will stay, won't stick out, and then I'm going to transform it. So I will make it thicker by going into the sketch. This is the wrong sketch, my bad. The sketch, and just adjusting the diameter of it. Once I've adjusted the diameter, I can just press check and it will kind of edit it to fix like that. It's a pretty thick donut now, but I think it's fine. I'm going to use the transform tool to move this slightly upward. So instead of translate by line, again I'll put translate by X, Y, Z. Move it a bit upward. There you go. Oh, it's actually sticking out right there. So I'm going to move it down once again. Instead of transforming it with another one, I can just go back here and edit this one, which is likely easier. There you go. And I think that looks pretty good. So now that I have that, I'm just going to combine these once again using the Boolean tool, which kind of looks like a Venn diagram. There you go. And it should combine them. And now I'm going to change their color. Another thing to stay organized is that you can rename your parts. So I'll rename this part, like handle. I don't think I know how to spell that. Whoops. Did my camera turn off? It did. There you go. That says hey. That is definitely not how you spell that. Handle. Handle. There you go. And the blade part. Awesome. For the handle, I will change the color to be a grayish color. And I don't know this. I will also assign material stainless steel. Interesting. Why not? Doesn't really look like stainless steel, but interesting, yeah. So that's it for this. I think there are various ways you could make this better. One of the ways is kind of angling this. Let me see if I can annotate. Instead of it being like this, it should be more like this, I think. But some people make it sideways. We can look at more references to help you figure out how you want anything you CAD to look. And always bringing the pictures a good idea. This was kind of made from like memory, I guess. But yeah. Another thing is there are several ways. I think that's kind of what we've learned today. There are several ways to make anything. And one of the cool ways to do that is to make a cone. Like you can do that using the loft tool, which is what I did here, but you can also do it like with a revolve. And you can imagine that half of a cone is just a triangle. You just revolve it around an axis. Yeah, so let's see. The time is 3:42. This ends at 4. There are 20 minutes left. Is there anything else that you all would like to CAD in 20 minutes? Or I can try to CAD to show how to make something. Any questions? All right. I guess then if you all are feeling satisfied, don't have any questions, then you're good to go. Yeah, I could CAD something else in the 20 minutes, but if there's nothing that you are interested in seeing, then that's fine. All right, thank you for coming. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello, Cruz. Do you have any questions? Or maybe you left your laptop or computer.
Yeah. No questions.
All right, cool. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
See ya.